Book of Manuscripts, Chapter 13, 93rd Scroll. A man shuns the deceitfulness of the wanton woman, for her words are like honey, but her beauty is to men as the flame to the moth. Her skin may be smoother than oil, and her caress gentle as a feather, but her heart is hard, and her ways are shameful. Her feet tread the ways of disease and death, and she is a decoy for the eater of souls. Her steps incline not towards the joyful path of life, and her hand leads the trusting to misery and loneliness. A wanton woman is man's greatest affliction. She wanders and is unpredictable. Though she be bathed in perfumed waters, and anointed with sweetness, painted and clothed in fine linen, her adornment is no more than the crust over a quicksand. Within herself, the betrayer of womanhood is unclean and polluted. What is the desire aroused by the deceitful beauty of the wanton woman, but something spawned in weakness? Her provocative eyes may stir your manhood. Her moist lips may call to you in the simulated language of love, and her lithesome form may quicken your heartbeat. But what is the value of all the harlot has? Not more than one loaf of bread or a measure of corn. Yet her cost is the wholesomeness of man. A man may not handle hot coals and remain unburnt. The harlot is the destroyer of manhood. She blights the soul. She is the dweller in the antechamber of unclean things, the servant of horrors, the handmaiden of disease. The womanliness of a harlot is as a silken robe on the back of a swine. The forces of whoredom are strong. They have servants in the fortress of man's body. They strike when he is weak. They rob and they destroy. They take that which cannot be replaced. Flee from all harlots as from a leper, or those with the disease of running sores. Let not the pollutions of harlotry enter the stronghold of your body. A man who is a man is worthy of a chaste wife, clean in body, and pure in thoughts. Her wholesomeness shall gladden his heart, and in her hands his contentment is secure. With her he shall find fulfillment and joy. Marry a chaste woman, that you may have a faithful wife, and live in peace among men. Let not the nights of your journeyings be spent in sleeplessness and doubt. Rejoice and be content in the love of the wife of your youth, for it has been established. The foolish man disregards the proven love for shadowy love that may melt under adversity, as the morning mists melt before the sun. Through all the eternal ages, women who are lovely and wayward have been and will be the sorrow and ruination of man. Envy not the man who rejoices in a beautiful wife. She may be his secret sorrow. Far more to be envied is he whose wife brings him contentment and joy. He who finds a good wife is fortunate above the man who finds riches. He who treats a good wife with indifference is as the man who leaves open the door of his treasure house. The husband who harbors an adulteress is both weak and wicked, for he encourages adultery in others. He is selfish, for he thinks of one man and not of all men. He condones the mockery of love and his weakness contributes to the sorrows of better men. The wrong is not great when a hungry man steals bread, and less when he steals it for his hungry children. The adulterer steals that from which he gets no benefit, and in doing so brings sorrow and shame on the heads of the innocent. Where is his joy when he gathers a woman to his breast, not in peace and contentment, but in the manner of a thief? Furtive love is false love. At the best, it is love betraying itself. Stolen bread is often the sweetest, and hidden waters the most pleasant. But under the hand of the adulterer, the sweetness putrefies, and the pure becomes unclean. Is it not written in the statutes and in the nature of man, that if a man come upon his wife in adultery, and in his just wrath shall slay, then he commits no great wrong? It is the duty of a man to protect his home, but he owes a greater duty which decrees that he uphold the sanctity of every home. He who lets adultery go unpunished condones it, and mocks the things a man should cherish and honor. The lion maintains the sanctity of his mate, the jackal is indifferent. A man will follow the ways of men, a cur the way of curs. My son, the day comes when your heart reaches out towards woman, and you desire a wife. It is well to choose her with prudence, to select carefully, without passion and without lust. Who is the woman who claims the heart of a man, whose love is the sun of his dwelling, in whose pure radiance he delightfully bathes? She is modest and quiet-spoken. Sweet womanly innocence blooms on her cheek. She is diligent in seeking work, for her hand and foot do not stray from her household. Observe her in the house of her father. Note her ways with care. She takes delight in simple pleasures. Her demands are moderate, and she behaves with decorum. Lewdness is silenced before her glance. She is attired with neatness, and her adornments are not over many. Her voice is low. Gentle decency and mildness of speech are virtues from which she never departs. She walks with prudence on one hand, and chastity on the other. Before her go discretion and decorum. In her eye is the light of love, and her smile is the caress of affection. Her overwhelming virtue grips the tongues of lewd men, and they are silenced. When the mouth of scandal is abroad, the doors of her ears are closed. Her delight is not in the misfortune of others, nor does she find pleasure in the retelling of their misdeeds. Her thoughts are a fountain of purity, and she remains unsullied by the wickedness splashed by others. When she marries, her dwelling becomes a haven of peace for her husband, and a well of wisdom to quench the questing thirst of her children. Her delight is in the care of her household, and her good management a joy to her husband. She fashions the thoughts of her children with example, and the words which fall from her mouth are heard with obedience. Withal, her character is strong. Were it not, she could not be as she is. Fortitude and courage are not the least of her qualities. O joyful the man who calls her wife, and joyful the child who calls her mother. Among all earth's treasures, she is the greatest, and too often the least valued.